The person you shared your entire life with, the one who knows every detail about you. Suddenly you're surrounded by a maze of medical equipment and have no idea how to handle your habits, comforts, or fears. You no longer feel the unshakable strength you once carried. The constant chirp of machines has replaced the laughter that once echoed through your home. This wasn't some dramatic TV storyline. Kelly Ripa was genuinely shaken by this heartbreaking reality. When her husband, Mark CONSUEL0S, was rushed into the critical care unit, her world simply stopped. Kelly, whose voice usually brings us joy, later admitted how terrified she was in those moments. As she followed the stretcher, she recalled the stark white hallways, the buzz of alarms, and the hurried whispered hopes. She said she couldn't grasp what was happening. In a flash, we went from talking about where to grab dinner to confronting my deepest fears about losing him. But what unfolded left everyone around them stunned. Even though communication between them had been strained, Mark insisted on seeing their children. This wasn't a simple request. It was a father's cry for connection in a moment when he felt powerless. He didn't want to talk about his condition. He wanted to speak from his heart before time slipped away. Learning that, amid all the chaos, only one request had been made stunned Kelly. She couldn't believe how awkwardly the plea had been delivered. It tore her apart. She had to choose whether to honor his wish and expose their kids to the frightening world of the critical care unit, or protect them and deny him the moment he needed most. She chose love. When the children arrived, a heavy tension filled the room. Mark, using what strength he had, spoke to each child one-on-one. While Kelly looked on at his firstborn, he emphasized courage. To their middle child, he spoke about kindness and determination. For the youngest, he whispered about joy and the healing power of laughter. The emotional weight became unbearable. Kelly realized as she watched that her husband was preparing himself, and them, for a goodbye. She could feel the mixture of pain and love in his eyes, a look suited for someone drifting toward the edge. It was a living nightmare to watch the person you adore seem ready to surrender. Then came the moment that shattered her. As the kids walked away, Mark murmured to Kelly, "If I can't talk to them tomorrow, promise me you'll keep telling them how much I love them." That plea, the possibility of fulfilling his last wish, crushed her heart. It was also the reason she refused to give up, even when everything around her looked bleak. Kelly held tight to her faith, her cherished memories, and the dreams they still hoped to share as she endured the long, silent nights in the waiting room. Under the harsh glow of the critical care unit, she had a revelation. Every family goes through something like this. Love and fear collide at the moment when our words carry the most weight. But then, the story shifted. Mark's stubborn spirit began to surface, as always. Gradually, the doctors noticed tiny improvements. His breathing steadied. His face regained color. He started smiling again. His first major win was breathing without assistance, freed from the machine's relentless hiss. Kelly held Simple's hand, remembering every rise and fall of his chest. Tears filled her eyes as she described it as the most beautiful sound she'd ever heard. Soon after, he began speaking again. The faint whisper grew warmer. He could finally do more than nod. He could crack a small joke, offer advice, or simply ask a question. Kelly said hearing his laugh made her believe he was truly coming back to them. The battle took a huge physical toll. Mark, once known for his strength, struggled with the vulnerability of it all. When I finally could sit up and stand, it felt like climbing a mountain. As he took his first unsteady steps with a walker, his family lined the hallway to cheer him on. Every obstacle felt like a sprint to the finish line. His determination was something Kelly could practically see. This was the man with whom she had built a life. He wasn't giving up. He was fighting his way back. His guiding principles, courage, resilience, joy, were now his legacy to his children. The day he was released from the unit was emotional beyond words. Walking out of that place, the root of all their fears, felt like escaping a long shadow. Kelly would never forget the simple, overwhelming warmth that brightened Mark's face when their son hugged him as she wheeled him toward the exit. The car ride home was filled with quiet gratitude. The world outside felt more vivid, as if the colors had been intensified. When they arrived home, their journey was far from done. A new routine began. Healing would take weeks of rest and therapy, But something had shifted. Everything felt more meaningful now. Suddenly, their busy public lives no longer seemed urgent. The peaceful moments became priceless. Watching a movie together at home, sipping morning coffee on the porch, enjoying each other's company, these were now treasures. This change in their worldview is what pushed Kelly to open up about their experience. It went beyond their household. She said, "On TV, everything is rehearsed, but real life doesn't give you a script." When life tested them, the glamour vanished. What remained was the undeniable truth. Nothing grounds you like family, and love is what matters most. But the journey didn't end the day they left the hospital. It marked the beginning of a quieter, deeper, and far more emotional battle. The adrenaline was gone, replaced with a heavy, delicate exhaustion. Mark, once athletic and energetic, was now both recovering and dependent. Their home felt eerily silent. The beeping monitors and oxygen flow that had surrounded them for weeks had been replaced by the normal hum of a refrigerator and the click of the thermostat, sounds that suddenly felt unfamiliar and too loud. Calling this the new normal felt almost cruel. The road to recovery was messy. Progress, setbacks, and more progress. The physical challenges Mark faced as he tried to regain his strength, the invisible burden Kelly carried as she watched every breath, every movement, fearful of another emergency. Mark's visible frailty only made it harder. Kelly shifted from terrified spouse to full-time caregiver, a role that demanded endurance, not speed. Even their children were changed. They had to confront the reality that their father was vulnerable. It aged them in an instant. The man who had always taught them strength now needed their help. But it was in that weakness that his lessons took root. They witnessed, up close, that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's battling for your life, for your voice, for another tomorrow. In times like this, most families keep everything private. But Kelly and Mark lived their lives publicly. Kelly's job was to bring positivity and warmth every day. Once life settled, she returned to the cameras, to the studio, to millions of viewers who thought they knew her. But now, something inside her had shifted. The cooking segments, the jokes, the celebrity chatter, everything felt different. The shift became even more noticeable when Mark was announced as Kelly's permanent co-host on Live with Kelly and Mark. Together, they turned the stage that once belonged only to her into a testament of their partnership. Their banter, playful rivalry, inside humor, and natural bond carried a deeper meaning. Now, when they spoke about marriage or their kids leaving home, viewers saw more than two TV personalities. They saw survivors. A man who fought his way back to sit beside his wife, who never left his side. And audiences watched it unfold. At first, they shared only bits of the story, then more. Opening up wasn't easy. They consciously chose to peel back their polished public image and revealed their raw, frightening truth. When Kelly spoke about their journey, she honored the revelation she had in that hushed waiting room. Everyone goes through something like this. By sharing, she gave her audience something priceless. She validated the fear so many feel when sitting in those same sterile rooms, hoping for a miracle. She confirmed that underneath the fame, they were simply two people clinging to each other, a reality more gripping than anything scripted. After that, their entire world shifted. Long-term plans, professional ambitions, none of it mattered anymore. Everything took a back seat to the present. Family dinners were no longer optional. Every phone call was answered on the first ring. Every "I love you" was intentional, sincere. Living so publicly, they began fiercely guarding their private moments. The constant rush to say yes to every opportunity was replaced by a deep desire to protect their time and their peace. They wanted to make the most of the second chance they had fought for. For Kelly and Mark, it was a devastating personal nightmare, but because the spotlight fell away, what people saw was universal.